I want to touch on the NBA draft, and I want to touch on Bronny James. I want to be very careful when I do this, but it was reported yesterday from Clutch Sports, from Rich Paul and those guys, that Bronny James has only worked out for the Lakers and the Suns. That's it. That's coming straight from Clutch Sports. That's obviously the company that represents LeBron, and that's also the company that represents Bronny James. That's their plan. Well, he's only going to work out for these two teams. I'm going to tell you right now, that is a stupid plan. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Bronny James should work out for everyone, every single team, because there are a lot of questions around Bronny James because when he played at USC, as we all know, he wasn't exactly a standout player. He wasn't. We also know that part of why he wasn't a standout player was because he suffered a heart attack right before the season started, and when he was finally cleared to play, they just kind of threw him out there. Okay? And so people don't know how good or how bad of a player he is, and because of that, he should be put in front of every single team that wants to watch him play. And look, this is just the way that the NBA pre-draft stuff works. There are teams that will bring in players that are going to be top picks in the draft just because they want to see them in person. For example, I haven't looked into this a ton, but I guarantee you that the Indiana Pacers have worked out players that they have no chance of drafting. They're going to get drafted way in front of where the Pacers are picking at, the back end of the second round. And the question is, like, why would they bring in players that they know that they aren't going to be able to pick because they're going to be gone by the time that they pick? It's a great question. It's for the future. Film is great. Okay, being able to sit down, grind through film, figure out who's good, figure out what they're good at and all those things is great. But there's nothing like seeing a player in person. That's why NBA scouts go to college basketball games. That's why they send them overseas to Europe to watch some of these better young European players play. You want to see them in person. And when you bring them in for a pre-draft workout, you're able to really kind of get into the nitty-gritty with it. And you're right there. You have this close-up view. And look, we see players get drafted into the wrong situation all the time. So teams will work out players they probably won't be able to draft in case things don't go well at their first stop. They then have something to go back on and decide if they want to bring them into their organization. You also get to sit down and have a legitimate conversation with them. You get to talk to them, figure out if they're a smart player or not, figure out if they process things well. Those things are important. And that is why Bronny James should work out for every team that he can. Because if the Lakers draft him and he gets cut after LeBron leaves, or if he spends the majority of his time in the G League, and then, the Lakers, after LeBron retires, is like, we're good. We don't need you anymore. Then there are other teams out there besides the Phoenix Suns that are familiar with him. Apparently, though, Clutch has a plan. And let's be honest, it'll probably work out well because it seems like whatever Clutch wants to happen happens in the NBA. And my dad called me I called my dad on my way into work this morning because, I love my dad. I saw my mom last night. She's in town for some stuff here in Indy, and, saw her. So I was like, hey, let me call my dad, and we're both Mavs fans. So he's asking me about Dallas and all that fun stuff. And then he's asked me what I'm talking about on the show today. And I tell him, I'm going to talk about Bronny James and this kind of stuff. And he said something as we were discussing Bronny that is exactly right. Bronny James only working out for the Suns and Lakers is selfish of LeBron James. It is. LeBron doesn't want to leave the Lakers, and I'm sure he'd love to go to Phoenix and play with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. I'm sure he would. Those are two places that LeBron James wants to be, and those are likely two places that LeBron James feels like he can win and compete for an NBA title. And because of that, because that's where LeBron wants to be, and because that's where LeBron feels like he can win a title, instead of allowing his son the best opportunity to get drafted and have a long career with the right organization, he's doing what he can to ensure his son ends up on a potential title team that he can then go to and potentially win. That's it's about LeBron. It's not about his son. Okay, and look, I'm not a dad. Okay, won't be for a while. I'm an uncle to a couple of tiny babies, which is cool, I guess. Um, and so like I don't know anything about parenting. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I do. That would be very ignorant of me, and people would probably not want to listen to me if I gave a lecture on parenting. I don't know anything about it. But what I do know about, because I'm 24 years old, is selfishness and what it looks like to use people to get what you want. And my dad's right. This reeks of LeBron using Bronny to get what he wants. And that's sad. LeBron's not looking out for his kid. He's looking out for his own interest more than his son's. Because look, if LeBron legitimately wanted, which I'm sure he wants for Bronny James to succeed in all those things, I'm sure that that's the case. But if Bronny was all in on his son having a long, prosperous career in the NBA, he would allow him to go and work out for everybody because every team in the NBA, I would bet, doesn't have a great grasp on who Bronny James is because he didn't play a ton at USC. And when he did play, he wasn't great. Like all that they've really seen from him is what he did at the NBA draft combine, where Bronny James showed that he was explosive and that he's got a decent looking shooting stroke. And that's really it. Like you have to give teams more than that. And I just think LeBron James is doing his son a major disservice by not allowing him to go out and participate in other things. Or not allowing him to participate with other teams in terms of this pre-draft process. Okay? And once again, I think it's selfish by LeBron, and he should, allow his kid to branch out a little bit and to go play somewhere that's best for him. But I understand it. LeBron doesn't want the Pistons to draft his kid and then have to go play for the Pistons for the next couple of years. Like, it's understandable. I get it. But at the same time, I just think that he should prioritize his kid's best interest because he's hopefully going to have a long career. I just think he should prioritize that over him chasing another title. Because look, he's already won 4. No matter where he goes, he's not going to be the best player on the title team. So I just don't think it does all that much for his legacy, even if he wins another title.